We'd like to thank Gail and Jim and Dick and Sherry for organizing a great night tonight. And a big thank you to Brian and Brittany for including us in their celebration.
And seriously, Brian, thank you for making us stand up here.
Yeah, this is awesome. We'd also like to thank everyone for being here tonight, especially those folks who traveled from out of state. And, I mean, obviously we're all here to support the newlyweds, so thank you. So, since we are the best men, we thought it would be a good idea to split the speech 50-50. But to save everyone a huge headache, we will Rochambeau for who goes first. One, two, three, go.
So hot, okay?
All right. So it's me. For those who don't know me, my name is Ben. And
hi, Ben.
Hello, everybody. The first time I remember being around Brian was in 7th grade. I just moved to town, and we were in the same drafting class down in the basement of Goddard Middle School in Littleton, Colorado. And I just remember him being the most hilarious person in the room. Like, I could not contain my laughter, even though you were trying to impress the girl that was sitting next to you and not me. But it was hilarious. And so, luckily, in 8th grade, we were in the same class, and we became very close friends in 8th grade, despite how big of a nerd that I was.
Huge nerd.
And so, thank you, Travis.
Keep going.
And so we fast forward to my 17th birthday, and we are all waiting at my house before we go do whatever we're going to do. And we can't leave until Brian arrives. And so apparently Brian decided that the best birthday gift he could possibly give me would be to introduce me to what we probably all have come to know and love as When Standard Time. He was a full 3 hours late, and it's fine, and we love him. But he made up for it so we're standing at the front door, and all of a sudden, we hear this truck come speeding around the corner, and it's Brian in this brown Toyota pickup truck that he had, and he is sliding by from right to left with a huge smile on his face, one hand on the steering wheel, and the other hand was waving at us. And those are just a couple of the many, many, many stories that I have about Mr. Brian Quinn. He's hilarious, he's loyal, he's reliable, he's persistent, and I'm a lucky person to have such a stand-up guy that I can call one of my best friends.
Thanks, Ben. So my name is Travis, and I remember meeting Brian for the first time back in 6th grade, and it was Mrs. Graham's three-dimensional art class. I don't remember much of what I learned in that class, aside from two things. My 6th grade self was way more focused on Miss Graham.
Tell me about it.
Than any kind of three-dimensional art. And second, I sat next to one hilarious guy, and to this day, he's been one of my closest friends. And I've learned a lot from Brian over the years. All the important stuff.
trivial knowledge. Sports facts. Everything I've ever wanted to know about the Yankees and Manchester United. Also, how to identify obscure George Michael references.
Hashtag vindicated.
Also, wristwatch design and the importance of titanium versus stainless steel.
Important stuff.
Thank you. Endless Arrested Development quotes. And car facts. Mostly DeLoreans. Especially the benefits of stainless steel construction and flux dispersal.
1.21 gigawatts.
And most importantly, what I've learned from Brian is how often and at what volume to repeat just the right expletive when flying down I-25. As we all know, Brian's been a bit of a sportsman, especially golf. He currently holds the course record at Interlochen Golf Course for the most golf balls lost in a single round. 15 balls to 18 holes. No, that's serious. Matt, you were there. So while I can't say that Brian's taught me a lot about golf, I can say he's led by example and taught me a lot about life. The importance of being hilarious.
This speech excluded.
Being genuine and thoughtful. And never losing sight of your long-term goals. But most importantly, it's finding the right person. Sticking with them through thick and thin, and never letting them go. Ever. Wait, how long did you guys date again?
And that's not
Just shy of it.
How long?
So I could literally stand here and tell you thousands and thousands of stories about Brian and myself growing up. So here goes. Story one. I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, for me, the most memorable time with Brian was college. He was up at Steve Boulder and I was down at Western. And one summer I decided that I was going to move out of my parents' house. So I called up Brian and he welcomed me into his home with open arms and a 6-case of beer. 6-case?
It's a new format.
Small case. It's a small case of beer. I might have had a 6-case myself today. but from what I remember, that summer was pretty epic. And although the college was pretty hazy, I do remember one thing, and that was I had a friend for life. Thanks, Brian.
So we would be remiss if we did not mention one particular road trip that the three of us went on. Travis, myself, Brian decided that we wanted to take a 3,000-mile road trip in a 1989 Bronco 2 after our senior year of high school before we all went to college. And so we get going on the road and we're heading north to Wyoming. And despite Brian's persistence that...
yeah, car is just fine. Why don't you pop in that Ace of Base CD?
Even though the car parts were literally falling off before we hit the state line. And once we got to Cheyenne, we stopped at this gas station, and other drivers were asking,
"Hey, what's that dripping from your car?"
And my personal favorite,
"Hey, your car's on fire!"
They were sweating off like 2 different.
So, I get all lost. So Travis was wiping this oily substance from the rear window the Bronco 2. And Brian persisted that...
car's good to go.
So we get on the on-ramp to get back onto the highway to keep moving along on our trip. And the car slips out of gear. And I look over to Brian, who is the resident car expert of anybody that I know. And Brian persisted.
Just slipped out of gear. Car's just fine.
So, to make a very long story short, I'm just gonna...
Next page.
We ended up coasting into Salt Lake City with a leaking transmission, and instead of passing through Salt Lake, we ended up staying there 3 nights while the car was in the shop. But it didn't matter. We had one another to rely on, not only to stop every 30 miles to put transmission fluid in, and then somebody wipes off the rear window. The Bronco 2 did not have a whole lot of features, and least of which was a rear windshield wiper. So it took us 2 weeks to make that trip, and in that time we found a humor in every situation, and Brian is the keystone of finding humor in every situation. And I can say that it's easily one of the greatest, most hilarious and ridiculous experiences of our lives, for sure.
Thanks, Ben. So thinking back, the year was 2000 and when Brian and Brittany met. It was actually at the tavern in downtown Littleton. Katie Baker had the idea that these two should meet. So fast forward a bit, here we all are today. And after years and years, and even a couple more years, they pushed through the thick and thin and decided that their futures belonged together.
When Brian decided that Brittany was the woman that he wanted to marry, he used his humor and his loyalty and reliability, and above all, his persistence. It was clear that Brian would do whatever was needed to assure that Brittany would be in his life forever. And it was, and continues to be, an awesome thing to watch. And even though Brittany has her fair share of eye rolls when it comes to some of Brian's jokes, mainly when Brian is joking around with the two of us idiots.
Up top.
It is clear that she also loves these same traits that were the reasons that we became friends with Brian in the first place. You're both an amazing couple, and all the hard work that has been put into getting to this moment will continue to pay off as you start your married life together. And we love you both.
So I know the DJ is going to help us out with this tonight, but in the great words of the prophetic Marty McFly, that's Back to the Future. For those of us who don't know, Stacy, wherever you are. If there's no music, they can't dance, and if they can't dance, they can't kiss, and if they can't kiss, they can't fall in love. So with that said, let's have a little bit of a toast. I know we've got another speech coming up. And let's all raise our glasses to the newlyweds, Brian and Brittany. Cheers.
Okay, I'm looking for, is it Missy and Kara? I think you're the next victim.
Camera's
You know, oddly enough, Brittany and I have a similar story of fluids leaking out of the car in the middle of the interstate, but we won't go there, Dick. You're welcome. Hi, my name is Missy, Kara, and we're not only two of Brittany's bridesmaids, but we are also her partners in crime. As we hold this prestigious title, we realize that although Brian may have known her for years, there are a few pieces of advice he might want to know. I'm guilty and free of suggesting down. Brian, may you realize, in case you haven't already,
that you are Mr. Right, and she is Mrs. Always Right.
May you always keep an emergency bottle of twist cap wine handy. If it doesn't have a twist cap, you might want to make sure you have a screwdriver and a drywall anchor within reach. For Brett, both of these work just fine.
May you buy your daughter Barbie dolls, even if Brittany insists upon Cabbage Patch dolls.
May you always give your arrival times enough padding to allow for Brett to stop at a garage sale that's on the way to where you're waiting.
Although it sounds like Quinn's standard time is...
I feel like it's good.
May you always, always have a stash of rainbow booty shorts and leg warmers. For any chance encounters with a bachelorette party, because Britt might just make you dance for them.
May you be prepared to watch the same movie on repeat for up to 3 days. And no complaining.
May you be prepared to enjoy the most honest and heartfelt laughter we have ever heard.
May you always find the time to take that trip to Fort Morgan with her. Guaranteed you'll have a great car ride, share a meal with some amazing folks, pet a horse or two, and maybe even see a box of kids.
Whole box. That's a lot of kids.
Whole box of kids, not even kidding.
May you never, ever forget, not even once, that you have married one of the sweetest people we have ever met.
May you always listen to her with an open heart. She is the most caring, lovely, and wise friend that we have.
And last but not least, may you always thank your lucky stars who met her, as we know that we do. Thank you to the families for this lovely evening, and here's to Mr. and Mrs. Right.